All right, we are jumping straight in today because what we're unpacking in this explainer is literally a masterclass in psychological terror, pulled right out of traditional folklore. We aren't looking at your standard run-of-the-mill monster story here, guys. No, we are analyzing the anatomy of a literal nightmare. Imagine this. You leave behind the loud, chaotic noise of the city, only to find yourself completely and utterly swallowed up by the deafening silence of an unknown forest. Gives you the chills just thinking about it, right? Well, that is the exact scenario we're breaking down today as we follow Raghav, Anamika, and their young nephew Adi into a terrifying encounter with a legendary entity known as the Chalava.
So, what exactly are we dealing with? The core definition of our threat is honestly fascinating. A Chalava, which roughly translates to an illusion or a deceptive spirit, doesn't usually overpower its victims with brute physical force. That's not its style. Instead, it relies on misleading travelers. It's essentially a predatory trap that takes your own desperation and uses it against you. To really get what's happening in this explainer, we have to look at the Chalava not just as some spooky ghost, but as an absolute master manipulator of human psychology. It baits you, it totally disorients you, and ultimately, it tricks you into walking completely willingly into your own doom.
Part 1. Start of the terrifying journey.
You know, every great trap needs unsuspecting bait, right? Enter our family. We've got Raghav at the wheel, his wife Anamika right beside him, and their nephew Adi in the back, just totally glued to his tablet. They are on what seems like a completely innocent road trip to visit Raghav's grandfather. They've left the familiar, bustling city miles behind and are pushing deep into this incredibly dense, isolated forest. And this sets up the tragic irony of the whole situation. Think about Anamika for a second. Our source material points out that she actually skipped a massive office presentation for this, like a presentation that could have guaranteed her a promotion. She chose to prioritize this family trip, saying you've got to think with your heart when it comes to relationships. But then you contrast that warm, very human emotional choice with the cold, dark, totally indifferent reality of the deep forest they are driving right into. The environment doesn't care about her sacrifice. It only cares that they are now on its turf.
Part 2. Unknown roads and lost network. Okay, this is the exact moment their false sense of security just completely shatters. The casual car chatter dies down because they suddenly hit this unfamiliar fork in the dirt road. Raghava is instantly thrown off. He's driven this route before, but he has never seen these two diverging paths. The environment has subtly shifted, right? The trap is being set. And just watch how this forest methodically dismantles their safety net, piece by piece. First, that weird fork appears. Second, Raghava realizes the usual signboards are just gone. Third, Anamika tries pulling up directions on her phone, but there is absolutely zero cellular network. And they aren't even that incredibly far from the city. Finally, Adi pipes up from the back seat that his tablet lost its internet connection ages ago. So the takeaway here is that this isn't just a string of bad luck. The environment is systematically cutting the cord to the modern safe outside world. They are now totally and completely isolated. And then, click. The final lock on this terrifying trap snaps shut. The sun sets, plunging this already creepy forest into total, suffocating darkness. I mean, think about the psychological impact of that. Daylight gives us clarity, right? It gives us reason. But the dark? That is where all our primal fears live. Anamika actually points out the failing light right as the sheer gravity of being lost hits them. Losing that daylight just skyrockets the dread. They aren't just lost anymore. They are lost in the dark. Part 3. The Stranger with an Axe. So the tension is at an absolute boiling point now. They are panicking about which pitch-black road to take, and suddenly Raghav spots something. A shadowy figure kind of wrapped in the darkness of the road, walking straight toward their car. Let's break down the massive red flags here, because put yourself in Raghav's shoes for a second. First off, there are 0 villages or settlements for miles. None. Second, this guy is walking completely alone in the pitch black of a dense forest. Third, and definitely the most terrifying, Raghav notices the man is carrying an axe. And lastly, he doesn't just walk on by. He stops dead in his tracks, keeps his distance, and just stares blankly at their car. Every single survival instinct you have should be screaming at you to floor it, right? In fact, the source notes that Anamika is literally begging Raghav to start the car and bolt, terrified this guy's a bandit. But then, the impossible happens. The guy just vanishes from his spot down the road. And in this horrifying blink-of-an-eye jump scare, he is suddenly standing right beside Raghav's window. And he isn't waving the axe around or acting menacing. Instead, he's just staring at them with this frozen, super eerie smile. The sheer panic of having a deadly threat suddenly close the distance like that leaves the whole family just totally paralyzed with shock. And it's right here, in this state of absolute panic and desperate need for directions, that Raghav makes the fateful decision to roll down his window.
Part 4. The Chalava's Dangerous Shortcuts.
This is it, the climax of the whole interaction. The physical threat of the axe totally takes a backseat now, and the true deceptive nature of the Chalavaya steps into the spotlight. The psychological manipulation starts the exact second Raghav asks for help finding the town of Pritampura. Check out this incredibly creepy quote from the source material. When Raghav politely asks for help, the stranger replies, "Our job is exactly this, to show the way to lost travelers." That line perfectly captures the Chalavaya's entire playbook. It uses a false sense of helpfulness. It weaponizes hospitality. It's baiting them by saying exactly what their terrified minds desperately want to hear. You are safe and help has arrived. Then the stranger points out one of the two roads. He claims both lead to Pritampura, but he specifically points out a mysterious shortcut. He literally guarantees that if they take this specific path, they'll reach their destination before morning. So look at the brilliant psychological trick being played here. This spirit knows these people are desperate, they are terrified, and they just want out of this dark forest as fast as humanly possible. By dangling a shortcut in front of them, the Chalava is leveraging their own impatience and fear. It ensures they will willingly drive themselves deeper into the illusion, rather than taking a single second to stop and think rationally. And then, as Raghav thanks him, we get this chilling final warning. The stranger says, "It's late, be careful, who knows what might happen in this forest." Guys, this is the ultimate deception. The entity is actively warning them about the dangers of the forest. It completely lowers their guard, builds this totally false trust, all while sending them straight into the jaws of the trap. Blinded by sheer relief, Raghav completely ignores how bizarre this whole encounter was, thanks the guy profusely, and turns the car right down that shortcut. So, we are left staring down this massive, lingering question. Will Raghav and Anamika escape this illusion? I mean, the folklore tells us that no one has ever survived the deceptive paths of a Chalava in these woods. They are currently driving down a fabricated road, totally cut off from the outside world, completely at the mercy of an entity whose only goal is to lead them to their doom. The absolute brilliance of this story is that the monster didn't have to break a single window or force its way into the car. It just had to smile, point a finger, and let human nature take care of the rest. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? The next time you find yourself desperately lost in the dark and a friendly stranger offers you a shortcut, will you be so quick to take it?